Many applicants, after submitting a Canadian visa or immigration application, keep checking the status every day. Then they wait for months or even years. And from time to time, their applications just get refused ridiculously. Ever wonder what those highly paid IRCC employees, the ones living on taxpayers' money, are actually doing during work hours? On May 14, 2026, IRCC released its annual report on internal wrongdoing and misconduct for the 2024 to 2025 fiscal year, and honestly, the content of this report is absolutely shocking to make your jaw drop. Some employees actually used the GCMS system as a personal tool to track family members and even people they were in legal dispute with. At headquarters, an executive was having office romance with a subordinate and user influence to secure permanent position for lover's family member. And the most insane one, when someone was working from home, collecting full-time salaries from two positions at the same time. But in reality, that guy wasn't doing any work at all. In this video, I'm going to dig into this annual report. We'll focus on the three biggest, most shocking cases. And each scandal is just bigger and bigger. So let's start with the first one. We all know that when we apply for a visa or immigration, all our personal information, passport, address, education and work experience, assets, everything is stored in the IRCC's GCMS system. This system has a very high security clearance. When new employees join in, they have to go through strict background checks. So this time, IRCC's Office of Internal Disclosure found that one senior employee had improperly accessed the GCMS on 4 occasions over the course of a few years. Guess who was he looking up? It turns out he was locating an estranged family member, most likely a spouse or child he was separated from. But that's not all. He also repeatedly accessed the private information on a person against whom he pursued legal action. Maybe he was trying to find some weakness he could use against that person. This was a serious breach of IRCC's Code of Conduct. He not only abused his authority, but also broke privacy law. If the first case is just one bad apple at the bottom, then the second case is a total collapse of executive level. This one happened at IRCC headquarters. Investigators went into allegations of wrongdoing committed by an executive at NHQ, and then they pulled on a thread and uncovered 2 more other executives. The first one, let's call him Mr. A. He was having a secret romantic affair with a female subordinate. To please lover, Mr. A took steps to ensure she received a promotion and granted completely unreasonable overtime for her. And worse, Mr. A used influence to offer a tailor-made position for one of her family members with a specific level of pay. And, of course, Mr. A never reported this conflict of interest to his superiors. Even worse, during a staffing process, Mr. A asked 2 individuals to falsify the merit criteria, but they withstood the pressure and refused. In my opinion, they deserve a huge thumbs up for that. On top of that, Mr. A was also extremely rude and disrespectful to subordinates, colleagues, and even superiors and clients. While investigating Mr. A, the Office of Internal Disclosure also uncovered Executive B, and this Mr. B took nepotism to a whole new level. Mr. B asked 4 subordinates to work on a family member's resume and fill out other staffing-related paperwork. Then, given Mr. B's influence, he shared resumes of various people who were connected to them with subordinates, who felt pressured to hire some of these people. And guess what? One of Mr. B's family members was hired as a result. Mr. B also directed subordinates to hire an individual who was referred by another executive, and pressured them to grant that individual a position at a specific level of pay. Finally, there's an executive C. This C asked the subordinates to hire another executive's niece in exchange for that executive hiring C's family member. This is what we call a quid pro quo. It might be common in some countries, as we know. Although the exchange of hirings didn't take place, this C was clearly placed in a conflict of interest. So he also seriously breached IRCC's Code of Conduct. They basically turned this federal department, which decides the fate of hundreds of thousands of people every year, into their own family business. If the first case is just small-time stuff, and the second case is executive openly abusing power, then the third case is something else entirely. This guy is a master of a high IQ fraud, and a champion of collecting pay without working. In the fall of 2023, the senior officer of internal disclosure received a protected disclosure. It alleged that an IRCC employee had committed significant time theft by collecting pay without working. The employee in question held 2 full-time positions in the government of Canada, and for a period of time, both 2 full-time positions were within IRCC. It all started in April 2020 when the pandemic hit Canada. The Canada government started widespread working from home arrangements, and this guy saw a golden opportunity. The investigation determined that between April 2020 and October 2023, the employee committed a significant amount of time theft during his regular shift, but also during the time he claimed as overtime, to mislead his supervisors into thinking that he was actively working. He falsified his activity reports to misrepresent productivity. He even set up automatic emails to send at certain times, so his supervisors would think, "Wow, he's still working at this late time?" His wrongdoing was so serious that they amounted to misuse of public funds or public assets. Over such a long period, with so many serious breaches, where was his professional integrity? Although he resigned from IRCC during the investigation, by the time the report came out, he was still a public servant in another department. He was holding 2 full-time contracts and was drawing double salaries plus overtime. So how did he work? Actually, he didn't work at all. It's simple. He had to spend all his time and energy figuring out how to convince everyone he was actively working in 2 positions. So, of course, he had no time left to do any real job. After reading these 3 shocking jaw-dropping cases, you might think IRCC is a makeshift troop, which is totally rotten. No wonder my visa wasn't approved in time. It's all about the people double-dipping, slacking off, and networking through nepotism. Honestly, that was my first reflection too. But then I looked deeper into the report's detailed data, and I found that the situation might not be as bad as we imagine. The report documented a total of 105 cases of wrongdoing and misconduct. They were divided into several categories. The biggest category was administrative misconduct, with 56 cases. So what does administrative misconduct mean? It's divided into two subcategories. The first is things like cutting corners, showing up late, absenteeism, or taking unauthorized leave. That accounted for 47 cases. The second type involved insubordinations, failing to perform duties, failing to complete tasks, or follow instructions. That made up 9 cases. In plain language, this is just public servants slacking off, coming in half an hour late, leaving early, giving themselves a long weekend, not doing their jobs properly, etc., etc. The second largest category was harassment, violence, and disrespectful behaviors, with 22 cases. What do they include? These are essentially office politics among IRCC staff. For example, an executive sent a letter to a subordinate that humiliated them and included harsh and inappropriate accusations. 5 employees made inappropriate racism and discriminatory comments, which risked damaging Canada's and IRCC's international reputation. 9 employees showed disrespectful behavior using inappropriate tones, raising their voices, communicating unprofessionally with colleagues and supervisors, and making inappropriate public comments. After a disciplinary hearing, 1 employee showed violent behavior at work, perhaps damaging office equipment. There were also cases of inappropriate physical contact, sexual harassment, vulgar language, and so on. Next were 13 cases of violating IRCC policies and improperly using electronic networks and devices. 12 employees used their influence and information system access to check the files of themselves, their family, friends, or acquaintances. Other cases included downloading unauthorized software, viewing explicit content on work computers, and connecting hacking devices to the network. Aside from these 3 larger categories, the remaining categories combined for only 14 cases, including a case of fraud. 1 employee misused a government credit card during a business trip for unauthorized purchases, resulting in the non-payment of the account balance. 8 cases of breaching ethics and IRCC's Code of Conduct. The first employee didn't follow evacuation orders during an overseas mission and also failed to provide accurate information about their family's whereabouts. The second employee started a public blog claiming to be a Canadian diplomat, discussing their work and expressing political opinions that could harm IRCC's reputation. The third employee failed to follow procedures and disclosed the information to a third party, causing a privacy breach. The fourth employee abused authority, blurring the line between work and friendship with subordinate. The fifth employee learned about office access policies through another employee. The sixth accessed the GCMS without permission to check the information of a former business partner and a family member, likely the one from the first of those 3 major cases. There were also 2 security-related breaches. And finally, 3 cases of heroin-related misconduct, which were likely the 3 executives in the second major case. So those are the details of all 105 reported cases. Overall, the vast majority are essentially routine HR management issues. So far, we haven't seen any case that directly harmed applicants' interests. Now, let's see how IRCC deals with these black sheep. First, for those who committed serious breaches, IRCC conducted disciplinary measures when it released this report. These include suspension, which is not paid leave, of course. It's suspension without pay, and this record stays on your file permanently. For example, the first employee in those 3 major cases received this punishment. Second, they revoke executive staffing delegation to address situations of conflicts of interest that exist within the relevant group. The 3 executives in the second case all had their staffing delegation revoked. Plus, the final investigation reports for those 3 executives and the high IQ fraud guy were all sent to personnel security for review. That means it's a permanent black mark on their security clearances. At the same time, for the high IQ fraud guy, a copy of final investigation report was also shared to the chief executive of the department where that guy now works, as well as the other department where that guy used to work. Beyond these direct punishments, the final investigation report also outlined measures to improve IRCC's internal management systems. For example, reviewing management weaknesses, assessing whether disciplinary measures are in place, and re-examining guidance to managers on the approval of overtime. Especially given that employees might occupy 2 full-time positions, or in the suspected cases of time theft, and how HR ensures there are measures in place to identify and mitigate risks related to due remuneration. To be clear, the Canadian government doesn't ban anyone from taking 2 jobs at the same time. If someone is capable and works actively, they are allowed to take more than 1 position at a time. As to those 3 executives, 2 have already left the department. The remaining 1 will continue to face further disciplinary proceedings. Then what? Well, the further measures include a lot. They range from lighter actions, such as verbal or written warnings, to more serious ones, like suspension, fines, demotion, and ultimately termination. Some employees in these 105 cases have already been fired. And beyond these internal punishments, any illegal or criminal conduct could still lead to legal prosecution. So overall, while this accountability system may be slow, the net of heaven is wide, but its mesh is fine. After discussing this report, I'd like to see your thoughts. Feel free to leave a comment. What I feel is, I actually gained a little bit more confidence in Canada's immigration system. The reason is simple. Think about it. Is there any country in the world that's absolutely perfect? Is there any government department that's completely clean? As they say, a tree has withered branches when it grows. Any large organization will have people who engage in favoritism, greed, or laziness. What's really scary is not that there are bad guys, but that when there are bad guys, no one dares to speak up. Everyone protects each other in the name of harmony. What do you think? From this report, we can see something important. For example, the report itself shows that IRCC has routine internal investigation procedures. They investigate individuals and also look at ways to improve the system. I think there are three important takeaways. First, their internal whistleblower system works. Many investigations started from employee tips. Second, the Office of Internal Disclosure is quite independent. Even three colluding executives couldn't interfere with the investigation. But most importantly, in the second major case, when executives B and C were engaging in nepotism, their subordinates were able and brave enough to refuse their superiors' improper demands. I think that's something really matters. This spirit represents the backbone of this country, and the system that supports this spirit is what makes this country successful. From a systemic perspective, the strength of Canada's system is its transparency and ability to correct itself. These subordinates, regular frontline public servants, have legal and accessible channels. They have the confidence to bypass their superiors and report misconduct without fear of retaliation. In fact, there is a legal foundation for this: the Public Servants Disclosure Protection Act. So think about it. How many countries' immigration departments would dare to write up such a detailed report about its own staff's misconduct, including lateness, affairs, and fraud, and post it directly on its official website, open to ridicule and criticism from media and the public worldwide? This kind of self-exposure may embarrass IRCC in the short term, but it sends a powerful signal to everyone. This system is still alive. Its internal oversight is still working. It still respects the law and the taxpayers' right to know. As the saying goes, sunlight is the best disinfectant. To ordinary people like us, it's not that we are afraid of problems. What we are afraid of is not knowing there is a problem and pretending everything is fine. As long as this department is willing to publicly admit its shortcomings and is able to kick out those who abuse the system is and will be getting healthier and more efficient. Then, the honest and hardworking employees can focus on processing our applications faster and more fairly. And that's what we want and need to see. Why does Canada attract so many people from all over the world? Why do hundreds of thousands of people immigrate here every year? It's never because Canada promises a flawless paradise. It's because it has built a modern, civilized system that allows for the disclosure of scandals, encourages public oversight, and has the ability to purify itself. As the Deputy Minister of IRCC concluded in this report, in an organization of more than 10,000 employees, some level of wrongdoing will occur. The department carries out important work, and in most cases, upholds the values and ethics of the public service. However, when standards are not met, it is essential to ensure accountability. We hope this report empowers employees to speak up about misconduct and wrongdoing without fear of reprisal. We commend our employees for their continued efforts to make IRCC a better, safer, and more ethical workplace, free from misconduct and wrongdoing. So, do you agree with the Deputy Minister's conclusion? I'm Kenny. Thanks for watching. See you in next video.